Today we are reacting to Opeth's new album, The Last Will and Testament. If you'd like to skip straight to the reaction, the timestamp is there, but I do feel like this album deserves a little bit of an intro and some context here, just so you guys know how I'm approaching this album and what sort of format I'll be reacting it to in. Very bad grammar there, and syntax and sentence structure from me. So my name is Ohakade. I'm the composer for the symphonic metal project Valkada. You can check out our music in the description, and there's also a link to my reaction database spreadsheet if you're curious about what other bands I've covered on the channel. So I would describe myself as a fairly casual Opeth fan. I have listened to them quite a bit. Blackwater Park is a masterpiece, but I would say I haven't dived very deep on them apart from that particular album. And I have given their entire discography a shot, and I've saved a lot of songs from their various albums to my playlists, but I just haven't gotten the chance to go back and listen to all those songs that I saved. So yes, I'm very interested in this group. I really do enjoy this group, but I would say again that I'm more of a casual fan than a diehard, so I'll be approaching this album from a fairly neutral standpoint. What I like to do on the channel is air out all thoughts that come to mind, both positive and negative. I try to be as constructive as possible. The general format of this reaction is that I'm just going to listen to the album the whole way through, maybe without stopping. I may pause if I really do have something that needs elaborating on, but we will be making brief comments over the music as the music plays, and I'm excited to get into it. I've heard really good things. Now, if I know Opeth at all, then this album is going to have some kind of concept to it. So I have the wiki page pulled up here, and I haven't read this yet. The Last Will and Testament is the 14th studio album by Opeth. It's the first with their new drummer, Valtteri Väyrynen. There is a concept to it. I'm just going to read the summary real quick. Okay. So the story is quite literal, actually. It's about the reading of a will, which I did suspect based on the title. And there are some details in the wiki summary here that maybe I won't mention if you haven't heard the album yet. Some spoilers, potentially, for sure. But sounds like an interesting little tale. And it is cool how they labeled the tracks. Section 1, Section 2, like a real will. Okay, no more dilly-dallying. Let's get right to it. I'm so interested to see what this will sound like. This is the first song, Section 1. Ooh. Immediately so groovy. Not wasting any time. Very sick intro. This is so much more lively than I was expecting. The mix is really good. Even the rhythm of the growling is so groovy. This is so catchy. What the heck? Really cool atmosphere building. Was not expecting these major chords. I love the intensity of this. I love the energy. That part is so catchy, I really like it. The contrast between these atmospheric parts and the intense proggy bits is really satisfying. It's really well balanced. This is a very pretty orchestral part. I wonder if these are live strings or synths. Very pretty either way. Very theatrical, emotional, love it. Interesting way to end the track, but we have a long way to go, so it's more of a transitional thing, I'm gathering. I'll have to guess the lyrics for this one. What? Guess they haven't been provided yet. For section 2, a thing I did notice looking at the track list is that these songs are all very reasonably, they're at a reasonable length. This album is leaning into theater way more than I expected, and I like that. I'm a big fan of musical theater. It's definitely more on the prog side than the death metal side, you know, compared to Blackwater Park, for example. Like, this part is very, you know, groovy, spooky musical theater moment. And I really like it. It's cool. It's light. It's kind of... I consider this a very light and fun sound, which kind of, I guess, juxtaposes with the concept of the album a bit. I love the mix. These heavy groovy riffs, so good. I would like us to continue with some of these sections for a little bit longer, you know. We're switching it up quite a bit. We're back to soft again. I was really getting into that heavy part, and I would love to have continued in that vein for a while. But as far as execution goes, I can't fault the execution of it, you know, the performances. Like, this part tonally is a bit jarring to me. It seems to have come out of nowhere compared to where we just were. Okay, but we're tying it back with this. I do like that. Ooh, I like that keyboard sound, that little music box situation. I would still prefer the first song over this one. I like this part. I think this is a callback to the heavier riffs earlier, right? Just with vocals. Super solid. Sounds great. Performances are so tight. Amazing vocal delivery too, as always. I think we have lyrics for section 3. They found a good one with this drummer. Wow. I love this kind of stuff, by the way. These are good expressions. dwindling. Ooh, that's really pretty. Ooh, that riff is nasty. That is so cool. I love his vocal delivery. You can tell he's having so much fun with it. If this song continues in this vein, it's definitely my favorite so far. We got a sick guitar solo. This is an appropriate break. Very, very impressive stuff. Wow. I mean, what can I say? Holy moly. Section 4. No lyrics for this, unfortunately. I really liked that last one. I am just going to pause here real quick. I just want to make the point that this is so much more proggy than I expected. I still associate Opeth with that Blackwater Park sound, and I know that album is proggy, but to me it's more of a sort of vibey situation where we're indulging in a lot of repetition to really let those vibes roll, you know? This album is very proggy, very avant-garde to my ears. The transitions are very abrupt and abundant, but I'm not complaining, except for in section 2. It did bother me a bit, but I think section 3 was a really lovely balance of that. Yeah, so far I'm really enjoying this, I have to say. Let's continue in section 4. This will be seemingly the longest song yet. Let's see. I love a catchy, groovy moment like this. And it's gone. This album is so dense with ideas, and that's a great thing, but we're gonna need multiple listens to pick up on everything and really let it sink in. Like, it's so rich, you know. The assault on the senses. I love it. And all of a sudden we have this gorgeously composed harp part. Harp, lute, acoustic guitar thing. Amazing. That was like the smoothest transition I've ever heard. Like, why is this album making me smile so much? I just find it so amusing, in a good way. I just wasn't expecting to be this entertained, you know? I was expecting more of a doomy, depressing situation, and I'm actually just having the time of my life. I could really take a page out of their book when it comes to harmonic ideas. Like, what chord is that? You know, what mode are we in? All the textures, you know, the woodwinds now in this song. It's like a David Lynch sort of situation, you know, creepy, dingy jazz bar. This is reminiscent of that riff in the song. I think it's called Deliverance. The very end of the song. A little bit of that. Man, I love the drumming. I absolutely love the drumming. It could be that we have the drummer to thank for this crazy, you know, development in their sound, to me. He's really adding a lot of life to these songs. And the production on the drums is just sublime. I'm no mixing engineer, I'm just a listener. I'm just going by what I feel. Well, I think this album sounds really good. I like that this song sat in the pocket a bit more. There weren't as many abrupt transitions. Yeah, so basically, the only song that I wasn't super crazy about was section 2, but every other song is really up my alley. And I'm really liking how this one is starting too. Section 5. The dirtiest acoustic lick you've ever heard. Getting a bit hot under the collar. Wow. But just as I'm about to make a comment, the song changes, so I'm just listening, you know? What a journey. The background vocals, the strings, the grooviness, the riffs, the harsh vocals. I have to say, I haven't been challenged like this in a while. I really like this part. This is a really sick part, by the way. And I'll explain why I laughed there in a sec. So, if I may just pause it for 1 second. I was just going to make the comment that the only thing that is holding me back from absolutely loving it right now is a really personal thing for my own taste, where this group love to operate mostly in the sort of Arabic scale. There's a more official word for that scale. I think it's the Phrygian scale, which basically dictates what notes that you can use, and you can distinctly hear a sort of Arabic sound in a lot of their riffs and stuff. And in fact, this isn't unique to Opeth. It's a very popular scale in metal music. For my own personal enjoyment, I'd love to hear them compose more in the standard minor scale, or what is otherwise known as the natural scale. That would really help hit the bullseye for me, just for my own personal taste. When I had that thought, that distinctly Arabic melody happened. So that's why that was kind of funny to me. As soon as I thought of the quote-unquote Arabic melody, you hear that part that sounded quite Middle Eastern, intentionally so. But yeah, just because I tend to prefer the standard scale, that's not a serious constructive criticism of this music, because it's purely a taste thing. It just depends on what you prefer to listen to. But I can definitely perfectly enjoy this music. It is just a thought that came to mind. Let's go back a little bit and continue. Man, so creative. Mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. The arrangement. You know what? I can recommend Danny Elfman's solo music if you enjoy this album. It sounds a lot like this, I'm not even kidding. You hear that? How that sounds kind of Middle Eastern. And this is a reprise of the intro. I would recognize that dirty acoustic riff anywhere. Ooh. This was a beginning too, right? As well? This is a really good part. Contender for my favorite song yet. Section 3 was my favorite, but this one is on its heels. Damn. A fade out? Ooh. Not a huge fan of fade outs, but I get it. It fits, it fits. I won't give them too much grief about that. Can't believe we're almost done with the album. There's only a couple of songs left. Or 3 songs. Actually, we're not almost done, sorry. So this is section 6. Yeah, I think that's all the lyrics we're gonna get. Unfortunately, I guess Music Match hasn't updated on Spotify just yet. I will say that having looked at the summary of the concept, I wouldn't say tonally I'm getting that story from this music. I don't really care, to be honest. Again, like I said, I'm more about the music. So I would be interested to look at the lyrics again after hearing this music, just to see how maybe some of the tones match up with the words. I thought the first song matched the words really well. So now this intro is quite uplifting. I like how so far this song sounds a little bit more like traditional rock. Almost U2-like in a way. Obviously a more demented and unhinged version of U2, but still. I would never have expected Opeth to sound like this in my life. This is so groovy and fun and uplifting, you know? I like it. This is definitely a standout. It's very catchy. Very agreeable, approachable. Never mind. Ooh, nice keyboard solo. Oh yes. Love it. This song, it's that whole just balls to the wall rock. Wow. Stunningly beautiful vocal lines. just smacking me in the face. Definitely need to listen to this album more to take all this in. I'm so relieved that this album sounds like this. I didn't really know what to expect. I was expecting way more drawn out, dreary acoustic passages. Which is strange because I did enjoy Blackwater Park for that reason, but I'm enjoying this busier style too. And what do you know, we have an extended acoustic part here, and it's really welcome at this precise moment. It's so pretty. Like, the musicianship and the passion displayed in this album is staggering. Considering how long these guys have been going for, it sounds so youthful and fresh, this record. I believe next is section 7. Second last track. Wow, you're gonna give me a syncopated pop groove like that? I think the spoken word parts help to make the music more unsettling. This song is a bit weird. It's strange because it's like a mix between my favorite material yet and my least favorite. Like, I'm a huge fan of this infectious groove, but I could do without so much spoken word parts and random chordal shifts. Like, this is good. This is really good. Could this be their grooviest song ever? I like that dissonance in that chord. That was very tasty. Love the focus on the bass here. Their ability to create an atmosphere is just so crazy. Like the addition of that choral pad makes all the difference. I would like a bit of a more melodic melody, a more jagged melody here than the extended notes. I feel like there was more potential to build on that section, even though excuse me, even though I did enjoy the atmosphere. And I don't like fade outs. But as usual, very enjoyable. This is the last song now, A Story Never Told. I take it this is a part of the story that takes place after the will has been read. That's a nice melody. Nice little motif. This song reminds me of Arion a little bit. Arjen Lucassen. Probably because the lead singer, I think is Mikhail or Michael, he sang on an Arion album, I think. This section is pure bliss. Nice little vocal run there. Ooh, I like that guitar part too. The amount of moments that just fly by you. Mind-blowing. I feel so humbled by this music. It's so good. I hesitate to even call myself a composer after hearing this album. I have a lot to learn. A way to go. They really meant business with this album. And you know the long soaring extended guitar solo at the end of a prog album. It's a little bit of a trope, a cliche, but the way they're doing it here is so tasteful. The chord progression, the performance, the balance of shredding and melody in the solo. It's magical. Please don't end on a fade out. I think we might end on a fade out. I like how as we're fading out, you can hear more of the background sounds. The synth pads. And all the little details. I'd love to have had a more definite finish. A more imaginative finish, but very minor complaint at this point. Okay, there we have it, guys. Opeth's The Last Will and Testament. I didn't expect to be this blown away. this humbled, this moved, this impressed. I thought I had heard it all when it came to progressive metal, but this album has perked my ears up in a way that this genre hasn't in quite a while. And it's just so funny that one of the OG progressive death metal bands did that. Not a newer band. One of the classic legendary groups did that. So hats off to Opeth. My jaw is on the floor, honestly. So I'll summarize my thoughts on the album in more detail rather than just straight waxing lyrical. It's hard, of course, to recall how each specific song sounded without a more unique title to each track, but I believe part 3 I loved, part 4 I loved. I also really loved the song that, to my ears, veered more towards a traditional rock structure. The one that I said is probably a standout to a lot of fans. I loved the one with the syncopated pop groove, even though I felt that song had a little bit too much spoken word. The abundance of spoken word is the only thing that I felt there was a little too much of in general. I do like it here and there to create that unsettling feeling, as I said. But apart from that, the spoken word did risk coming across as a little overly literal, which kind of goes against the mystical, otherworldly feeling that this album evokes. And that leads me to the atmospheres and the textures, the sound design, the production, the mix. What a great sounding album. Everything sounded very welcoming and warm to my ears. I'm very eager to put it on again, just to hear how it sounds, regardless of songwriting or composition. The vocals are outstanding, so much character and personality put into the vocals. He is obviously a very versatile singer. He's got the harshes down, he's got the falsetto, the soft delivery, the more theatrical delivery. Very impressive range too. Notes were all over the scale coming from his voice. This album is so groovy. It's so danceable. The fact that there are so many abrupt transitions in short spaces of time might frustrate some listeners, but luckily I am well versed in that sort of style, with one of my favorite groups ever being the band Unexpect, who are unfortunately disbanded, but highly recommend Unexpect if you love very frenetic, frantic sounds like this. Seemingly random, but obviously there's a controlled chaos to it. And even, despite the abrupt transitions, everything that you got in a new transition was so satisfying to listen to. Like, for example, when we would transition to a part that focused on the strings or the synth strings, whatever. That string melody was so gorgeous, and the chord progression in that string part or orchestral part was so imaginative and fun and playful. This album is just mind-bogglingly rich with creative ideas and passion. I could not be more pleased with it. As someone who wouldn't even really consider them a mega fan of the group. And if I had to offer any more constructive criticism, the only points I would make would be the song A Story Never Told was a really nice song, and I think I would like for that song to have not been the final song. I think it would have been cool if it was like the second last song and we got a more epic, definite conclusion to the album, sonically. And generally, I'm personally not into fade outs, but that really is the only complaint that I have. And one other thing, and obviously I could go either way, and this is maybe since there were so many crazy transitions and random parts in each song, maybe that went towards the difficulty I have with identifying each song as a separate piece rather than little windows of a whole, and that's probably the intention of the album. I would normally complain about individual songs not having a unique identity, but I mean, for crying out loud, these songs are labeled Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. They're not really intended to be distinct. It's supposed to be a linear journey from beginning to end, fishing with the theme, the concept. It works. It's a masterpiece. It's a banger, and I am utterly blown away, sincerely. Okay, whew. That about concludes my reaction and analysis of The Last Will and Testament by Opeth. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of the album. Let me know your thoughts on my analysis if you agree or disagree. I am on Patreon if you fancy some exclusive content and benefits. And be sure to check out my reaction database to see at a glance all of the songs I've covered on the channel. Also, let me know what other Opeth content you'd like to see, since this is the first time I've covered them on the channel. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks so much and take care.